Nearly 4,000 years ago, in the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, a figure emerged who would defy the heavens themselves. His name was Nimrod, described in ancient texts not just as a ruler, but as a rebel against God. He united mankind under one rule. He raised a tower to pierce the skies. And then he vanished. But what if Nimrod's story was not concluded? What if his rebellion was simply the first act of a much larger, darker plan that still haunts our world today? Join us as we uncover one of history's most forbidden mysteries, a conspiracy that merges sacred scripture, apocalyptic prophecy, and secret traditions. Could Nimrod return as the Antichrist? Subscribe if you seek the hidden truths buried beneath time itself, because some secrets refuse to stay hidden. The first mention of Nimrod appears in Genesis 10 verses 8 to 10, written roughly 3,000 years ago, yet describing events that took place around 2200 to 2100 BC, during the earliest days of post-flood civilization. Nimrod, whose name may mean we rebel, was the great-grandson of Noah to the line of Ham and Cush. His rise marked the world's first recorded monarchy, centered in the fertile lands of Shinar, modern-day Iraq, at the crossroads of ancient Sumer, Akkad, and Assyria. His empire encompassed mighty cities like Babel, later Babylon, Erech, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh, the very heartbeat of Mesopotamian power. But Nimrod's title as a mighty hunter before the Lord concealed deeper meaning. Ancient Jewish sages like Josephus interpreted this as rebellion. Nimrod was not hunting animals, but hunting men, consolidating power, enslaving populations, and setting himself as a rival to God. In Mesopotamian mythology, kings often claimed divine ancestry. Nimrod's imperial ambition mirrored the god-kings of Sumer, such as Gilgamesh. Another figure said to seek immortality by ascending to the heavens. His most audacious project, however, would become a universal symbol of defiance: the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel, begun around 2100 BC, stood not merely as stone stacked upon stone, but as mankind's open revolt against heaven. Unified by a single language, humanity gathered in Shinar to build a tower whose top may reach into heaven. Ziggurats, common to the region, symbolize a bridge between the earth and the divine realm. But this tower went further. It was a challenge, a declaration that mankind would no longer be ruled by God. The historian Flavius Josephus, writing in the 1st century AD, claimed Nimrod's motive was revenge against God for sending the flood. Nimrod sought to build a tower as protection against another divine judgment, to create a realm where God could no longer reach them. Genesis 11 recounts how God intervened. "Come, let us go down," and they confused their language. In a single moment, the unified speech of humanity fractured into chaos. The builders could no longer understand one another. Construction halted. The great empire shattered. The people dispersed across the earth, birthing the nations we know today. But Nimrod's rebellion planted a seed, a pattern that would echo through every empire that followed: Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, and perhaps the final empire still come. Unlike many biblical figures whose deaths are clearly recorded, Nimrod's fate remains a blank space, fueling centuries of speculation. In Jewish Midrashic tradition, Nimrod's end came to the hands of Esau, grandson of Abraham. In a dramatic confrontation, Esau ambushed Nimrod, severed his head, and seized his garments, believed to carry supernatural power dating back to Adam himself. Islamic traditions recount Nimrod's confrontation with Abraham, portraying him as a tyrant consumed by pride. God sent a gnat, a tiny insect, which entered Nimrod's skull, driving him insane before killing him. Yet within occult circles and esoteric lore, an even darker narrative emerges. Some propose Nimrod never truly died but was bound, suspended in the spiritual realm, awaiting a time when he would reemerge. In these accounts, Nimrod's ancient empire was merely a prototype for the coming one-world government prophesied in Revelation, a system marked by total control, forced worship, and open war against the divine. Throughout history, secret societies, from Freemasons to Rosicrucians, have been accused of preserving fragments of Nimrod's legacy, symbols, rituals, and ambitions tied to the spirit of Babel. The Book of Revelation, written around 95 AD, presents one of its most cryptic verses in 17:8. "The beast that you saw was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. Eschatologists like Joel Richardson propose that this beast may refer directly to Nimrod, who once ruled, vanished, and will rise again in the last days. The parallels between Nimrod and the Antichrist are chilling. Both unify mankind under one world system. Both defy God's authority openly. Both establish global worship of a false leader. Both attempt to merge political power with spiritual deception. The Tower of Babel thus foreshadows Revelation's mystery Babylon, a final spiritual political system that seduces the world into rebellion. Revelation 18 describes her fall. Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. If Nimrod is indeed the prototype, or even the literal identity, of the Antichrist, then the rise of Babel's final form may be closer than we imagine. Modern movements toward global governance, digital currencies, unified religious councils, and transhumanist ambitions echo Nimrod's ancient desire. One world, one language, one throne, without God. For nearly 4,000 years, Nimrod's shadow has stretched across the history of mankind. He was the first to seize global power, the first to challenge divine rule, the first engineer a rebellion designed to replace God himself, and perhaps the first whose reign may not yet be complete. As our modern world accelerates toward global unification, economically, politically, technologically, and spiritually, the blueprint of Babel seems to rise once more from the dust. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9 warns, "What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun." The rebellion of Nimrod may not belong solely to the ancient world. It may serve as the very architecture of the final rebellion prophesied at the end of the age. Could Nimrod, the ancient king who once challenged God, rise again as the Antichrist? Only time will reveal the full truth. But one certainty remains. The echoes of Babel still resonate. And soon, the world may face its ultimate confrontation with the one who was, who is not, and who may return. Subscribe now for more forbidden history, ancient conspiracies, and hidden prophecies. This story is far from over.